Welcome, Internet, to the PixelPlay Sidequest, our bonus YouTube content that we host every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube. We also have a podcast that we put every Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts or on this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and let's jump into it. This week, we're talking about PlayStation Plus seeing a decrease in player count for the month of July, year over year, both from last month and the year before. So with that, let's jump into it. This article is coming from True Trophies, and what they're arguing is that the player count for games of July's PlayStation Plus services is down year over year. So they're arguing that the games that were played in, like the games released in July of 2024, have a player decrease of about 48% from June 2024, or if you look year over year, about 18.5. So my question to you guys: is PlayStation Plus suffering? Is it just a matter of the wrong games at the wrong time? Or is this a larger issue for PlayStation Plus?
Adam, you want to go first?
I mean, I think just all in all, I think it's just at a point that, again, like, people are just kind of not as interested in extra when specifically Game Pass is out there. Obviously, we talked earlier, not too long ago about with Game Pass's price hikes, but like PlayStation has always been, we've always known it's been a very much a 2, a second option, like not even a 1B, it's a 2. In fact, it's sometimes so distant it maybe even feels like a 3, even though there might not be anything in the 2 spot. That's just how far away the gap is. But like, when I've had it, I've often looked at the list and went, that's some cool shit. I'll make note of that. Very rarely do I actually go into something, because a lot of them are either games that I've already done, or they're games that like I'm curious about, but not curious enough to stop me from whatever other things that I'm already on. So it's definitely been a case of like, I've already set my system to only be essential now because I'm not using extra as much. So the next time that I flip, because I usually do annually, so the next time it flips over, I'm only going to be getting essential now, because the freebie's still nice. But like the entire system that extra has, like they only do one set a month. Unlike Xbox, which is every 2 weeks, they usually have some stuff running it, unless there's first-party games that are coming out on similar dates. But for the most part, like I said, like I'd maybe once every 3 months would actually dip into what extras got. It's pretty rare that I would do it monthly. So, I mean, every time I see it, I'm like, oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. But most often, though, it's like, oh, I already finished that, though. But that's cool for those people. Maybe I'll take a look at that at some point, but it's never really been the holy shit, I finally get to play that. Like, that's basically not a thing too often with it now. So the fact that it's been steadily declining isn't really a shock to me. Like, I'd be more curious to know if like the overall amount of like essential has gone, because that would be a much bigger concern to me. Extra, I mean, to Sony it might be, but I don't think it's that much on our end, because as long as essential's still holding up, it's fine.
Yeah. I don't think this is shocking to me either. I think it's because if you look at the PlayStation customer base, they're quite different than the Xbox One, in the sense that I feel like there's a lot of people. I think the three of us make this for sure, is that we had an Xbox because of their subscription service. We had it just for Game Pass. If we don't have that subscription, we're not really using the Xbox. We might own 1 or 2 games that we bought, but for the most part, we're not really using it. PlayStation users, most of them had like the essential tier, and they had that because they play online, plus they got the few free games per month. It was great. I think the reason that extra and I'm assuming premium are also just going down is because this is now a little over 2 years that this system, these other tiers have been around. And the thing is that when the PlayStation customer fan base, or the gamers, whatever you want to call us, got this new extra and premium, it was new, and all of a sudden there was like 500 games or whatever the heck was in the service to play. So people would upgrade to try it out. It's new, and like Adam, you said, you do the annual purchasing of PS Plus. I'm the same way. I always do the slightly cheaper annual purchase idea, right? So a lot of people were doing this on an annual basis. So they upgraded at first because it was new, something cool to try. There was a bunch of games in there that people hadn't played because it was new. When I first used it, there was like Ghost of Tsushima. I'd never played that. I hadn't bought it yet. The fact I could on Extra was a great benefit, right? But I think that after 2 years of having this service, yes, it adds some games and it takes some away. but it's not like it's adding brand new games. It's constantly games that are a little bit behind. And I think it's just that the service, like the actual gamers are kind of lapping the service in that when it was brand new, 500 games, there's going to be a bunch of they've never played. They have the service for a couple years. Now what's in there, they've played. There might be a few games that's added, but it doesn't really make sense to upgrade for an entire year if now gamers are going to have, say, like 4 games per year that come onto the service that they're going to play. Essential makes sense. They need it. They want to play online. They want to use PlayStation as their primary console. You need Essential, or else you can't play Helldivers. You can't play those games because you need it, right? But yeah, I think just Extra itself, it's just people have used it, run out of games to like really need to own it for an entire year and keep upgraded. And I don't think Sony kind of has the whole like upgrade for 1 month and then downgrade for 1 month. Like they don't really make that very easy, especially if you do the entire annual like purchasing. I don't think a lot of people do the monthly PlayStation Plus as much. I think everybody was that annual. Makes it harder for them because you're committing to an entire year of this higher cost versus, you know, just keeping it Essential where Game Pass you might buy a month and then you'll back out and you won't need it for 4 months. And then you can buy a month and then back out and not use it for 4 months because they don't even have the annual tier unless they're adding it now, but I don't think so. So yeah, I think it's just kind of like PlayStation Extra burnout in the sense that everybody used what's in there and, you know, they add some stuff, but it's not going to be enough to incite people to renew for an entire year now that they've kind of played what they wanted out of that catalog.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you guys. Like, I think there is an aspect of, you know, we're getting kind of tired of the system that PlayStation offers. And like, no offense, like the games aren't there, right? To justify like the price that they want and stuff. Like I look at the games for July of 2024 and you get Jackbox Party Pack 9, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, Crisis Core Final Fantasy 7 Reunion, Pathfinder, No More Heroes 3, and Remnant 2. Like none of those are games that are screaming to me like, oh, I need to play this. And thank goodness I have PlayStation Plus so that I can play it. Like, these are kind of, I'm not going to say they're bad games, but like they're not games that anyone's super excited for.
It's definitely a case where like there are good games on there on that list, but it doesn't always end up being games that appeal to everybody. And not to mention that since they're also games that have been out for a while, like you've probably decided by this point if you're going to play it or not.
That's the thing. Like they're not coming out frequent enough or like relevant enough or soon enough that it's like, oh, I haven't gotten around to buying this game yet. I'm glad I waited and I'm going to get it. It's by this point, like if you look at even like the games that are coming with just the basic PlayStation Plus, which we're not talking about here, we're talking about the extra, but like Borderlands 3, if you haven't played it yet, you're not going to, right? And so, but like looking at these games, like there's nothing there. Whereas conversely, like the Game Pass games for July, not all of them are as big. Like there's like Cricket 2024 and like Flock and Magical Delicacy. Like I don't know those ones, but like you're also getting Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. You're getting Flintlock, Siege of Dawn. Go check out the podcast on why I talk about you guys sleeping on that game. Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2, which is like also it's niche, but like I've been hearing a lot about that. And if I was, you know, looking for something to play, and I've heard of that game has had some traction. Like I think WB just bought the studio that made that because it's been doing so well. Like
it's also the influx of indie games too that Xbox has. Like that's another thing that PlayStation really should have taken a chance on was just going out there and finding some small indie games and just giving them like a bit of a pay upgrade. Just be like, hey, like we want to put you guys on our service so that way you get some extra attention. Here's how much it is. We'll take a cut of this. You guys interested? And you get a couple interesting ones on there. Because the problem is with that list is that they're all like sort of AA, AAA games that you've already heard of and probably have decided. Whereas there's nothing that really comes out on the service unless it's the rarity like a Rocket League where you go, never seen that before. What is that?
You know, it'd be really cool that like you just kind of talked about it, gave me the idea. Like it'd be really cool if PlayStation came out with like an indie collection, like an indie service where it's just you talk to the developers and you say, hey, we're going to put your game on our service. We're going to charge $10 a month. And the revenues of that month, you know, gets divvied up by kind of like how TikTok does with like its creator fund, where it's like, hey, we've got this pool, however many like downloads you get, you know, you get X amount of the pie or something like that. Like it'd be kind of cool to explore that. But I look at games, I look at PlayStation Plus, and nothing has made me be like, oh man, I need to buy this. Like I feel like any of the games that come out, it's like, you know what? I could just go out and buy this at GameStop for 20,
It's
30
really
bucks
almost
at this
at the point that it's like I have Essential just so that if I want to play Helldivers, I can play Helldivers. Like that seems to be what it's for right now.
That's me right now. Like I had a pass that I bought like a year or two ago during a Black Friday sale, and I was not redeeming it because I had no need for it. And then Helldivers came out, and I redeemed it. And once that's over, I don't have any intention of renewing again.
Yeah, even with Essential, it is tough for me too because like they do add games that I had wanted, and it's not like I'm searching because I had it for online, Helldivers, that kind of stuff. Cloud saves, like there's other reasons I wanted the service. But I kind of looked back and I was like, of all the PS Plus games that I'm being given, because I have my own games that I'm buying or Game Pass, but again, Game Pass has like day one releases like Flintlock. That there's a reason to have it. I don't play a lot of the monthly games. Some of them are really cool. I think the service, if you're going to get a PlayStation Plus service, like the Essential really is just the only essential one. It's the closest thing I'd actually say to that. But yeah, even me, somebody who didn't have a PS4, I was a PC only guy for a while. PS Plus was really good for me in the very beginning. There was that like 20 game collection, which I thought was really cool. You buy a PS5, here's 20 games you can play right away. I think it was good for people like me who didn't have the PS4. If you had a PS4, you probably had all those games. But I mean, even Sony got rid of those 20 games, which is very confusing because most of them, well, not most of them, but I want to say like half of them were first party. And I'm not sure where they
probably like 60 or 70 of them.
Yeah,
I assume they would have moved those onto Extra, but I have no idea. I can't remember if it was or not.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like even the sense of like Extra, like Horizon Forbidden West came out how long ago? And that game's not on there, right? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of reasons as to why it's failing. I mean, granted, they named it correctly. I mean, they've named their tiers correctly. Essential is essential, so if you're going to be getting the right experience on PlayStation, Extra really is just that, extra, if you want it. And I think a lot of people at this point decided that it's not worth the extra. Because, I mean, honestly, like, the two main issues are that not enough content's coming out, and what content that is coming out is so old that it doesn't make a difference anymore.
No.
Like, they're not like ones that get your attention anymore. Like, Crisis Core 1 is cool and all because it recently got the remaster or remake or whatever it was. But, like, that's also a game that's been out for a lot longer than that.
Yeah, and that remaster is like I played that on my Steam Deck like a year and a bit ago. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but it was I think maybe a year ago or something. Like I got that on sale in a Steam winter sale at already 50% off. And it's crazy that like it's like relevant-ish now because the new Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is out, so obviously it's a little bit relevant, kind of get the hype going. But it's not like it is Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 or something like that. That's like a big game. And you guys mentioned like Horizon Forbidden West. They add some first party games, they'll put them on the service and they're there for 3 months and then they remove them. It's kind of like what PlayStation used to do with PS Now, where like, oh, Spider-Man, the first one's being put on there 3 months later. Okay, Spider-Man's being removed. Play it now before it's gone. And it's kind of like, I guess that's their strategy to keep people like invested because you don't know what game is going to come and go versus
Instead,
like going monthly.
Make people not care.
Yeah, because it's like, well, one, if you wanted Spider-Man, you either bought it like within the first year or you didn't want it. And two, like, what if I'm playing it and then you take it off the service after 3 months? At least
you go to Game Pass and be like, anything that's first party on there and it's just there. It never leaves.
Yeah, it never leaves. Like it makes sense the third party would leave in Game Pass. That's a license you got to keep renewing, but first party, why are you getting rid of them? Why would you not leave the first Spider-Man game on extra? Like, are you really selling that many copies of the first Spider-Man game? Or are people just not buying it and going with extra because they're waiting till it's $15 in the, PlayStation winter sale or something like that, right?
Yeah, I think it's at a point now that we can just make the case that, like, they need to retool it a lot. In fact, I would just go above and be like, get rid of extra, just put it as premium, just be essential and premium. Premium stays the same price as extra because, let's be real, what you're charging extra for premium is not worth the value at all. Because it's really stupid whenever they do the monthly announcements where it's like, here's 2 PS3 games that we're adding to premium, and that's all that's being added to premium. And we're like, that doesn't seem like anything worth the money that's being for the extra. Like, I don't know if it's like $5 that you're spending on top of that. It's just it's a really stupid thing as a company to do. So like, they really just need to tool it all back, and there needs to be more consistency with it. Like, there needs to be more stuff, and indie would be the easiest way to have a bigger influx in there. Like, do you
Huge.
like right away? I know that neither of them would get them right now because I'm sure like it's the highest bidder for Balatro right now. But like, how crazy would it have been if PlayStation was like, yeah, let's take a shot on this poker roguelike game that seems to be generating a little bit of buzz.
So like, for example, I'm just looking here. And I looked at psdeals.net, so the tracks like history of like game prices, right? So I looked at Horizon Forbidden West, which has not been on PlayStation Extra yet, right? The game's lowest price has been $29.99, like several times.
That's more than
in the past
fitting
year
to be on Extra by that point,
right? Like, like you're now at the point where you could get like, how much is it for PlayStation Extra for a month?
I want to say it was like 19.
Yeah. No, I think it was a little bit cheaper, like
$17.99 is what I'm seeing here. So about $15 to $17. So like, for the price of 2 months, you could have had Forbidden West for yourself. So like, it's not a place to go to play PlayStation exclusives. Like, it's not a good deal there. So then it lives and dies by the third-party games, and the third-party games just aren't anything incredible. Like,
yeah, like it would honestly make sense if it was after 6 months. You throw the first party game out there because that's more than enough time.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, it just seems like one of those things where there's not enough like high quality games. There's not enough recent games. So it doesn't surprise me that this.
Yeah, it'd be like a pretty simple solution. Package it with premium so there's a little more content, and then up the timeline to when first party games like I said 6 months. If it has to be even a year, fine, whatever. Just make it consistent. So that way people know, okay, if I don't buy Forbidden West on this date, I know that by this time next year, I can get it on Extra. Cool. Good to know. So I can just handle my backlog. And then lastly, just get some indie depth in there. Just get some extra stuff in there. Like, the fact that every one of these articles once a month is like, here's 9 games going on the service. And we go, cool, see you next month when I still don't care. Like, there just needs to be a bigger influx. Like Xbox, like we said, does every 2 weeks. That's still more than enough to at least get something else in there to keep people a little more invigorated. Because every month when you're staring at it and you go, well, I guess I'm just going to wait for this monthly 9-game post that they're going to make. And then that's it.
Yeah. I feel like the problem with PlayStation Plus is that they have neither quantity nor quality, right? Like, they're not like Xbox, like we said, is posting twice a month. And so they have more games. And they have better games, and so PlayStation is in this weird thing where it's like, well, what are you bringing to the table? So,
I mean, it's also a conversation too on just how like neither console is really showing off a lot of first-party stuff to get attention anyway this year. So it's also really made it stand out.
Yeah, that's a really good point too.
Like in a busy year, maybe we don't care as much about it, but right now it really shows how bad the service is.
Yeah. But that's a conversation for another week, and that's going to be our conversation for this week. So thank you so much for listening. If you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Are you still playing on PlayStation Plus? And if not, why? Why not? Leave your comments down below. We'd really appreciate it. If you want more, check us out on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our regular podcast, and join the conversation down at linktr.ee/PixelPlay podcast. Join the Discord, join our socials. If you want to see our shorts, we do all that down there. We'd greatly appreciate it. And with that, we'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.